Okay, so the first thing I want to do as we get into this is I want to write something a little more generic that lets us do this testing thing, since I'm kind of writing the same junk over and over. So I think that's going to be the first order of business here. So let me go down to the bottom, and I'll just make a public static void exec test, and it will take a match context. I'm sorry, it'll take an iMatch token, whatever token it is, and it will take a match context, and it will sort of run through all the permutations on it. So if token.match context, then I want to write line match success, and that's that, and then I will write line show you what the context looks like, and then while token.matchNext in the context, we will do the same thing. So we will write line MatchNext success, and we will display the context. And then once that's done, we will say MatchNext failed, and we will display the state of the context, which should be correctly unrolled. And if that thing never matched in the first place, then we just say write line match failed, and then we will display the context. Okay. iMatch is less accessible. Oh. Fine. Okay, so let's take these guys that we've already done and change them to use this exec business. So exec test, in this case, will be item on the context. Whoops. And in this case, once again, we can take this out and say exec test, and it's list for now on this context. So what I want to do is just change this to item. What? Okay, so the program's I think still going to run MatchList test 1. So let's just run that. And what is the problem? Oh, duh. We didn't actually implement it. Okay. I guess we should do that. For posterity, let's call this match char test 1. And we'll come back here and try that guy. Okay, match succeeded. There's no other options. It failed, and now we've exited gracefully. Cool. So we'll flip that back, and I guess we should get on with MatchNext. So what happens when I have a list of tokens that have already matched and something downstream of me fails? I need to get backtracked into. I need to start looking through this list of items, these match items, right? iMatch items. And starting at the end, I need to, in reverse order, essentially I need to do this. I need to be backtracking through them from the end and trying to do the same thing. If I backtrack all the way to the beginning, then this whole thing can't be backtracked and MatchNext fails. If I succeed, then I want to loop back around kind of like we do in here and just proceed forward from that point. So let's go ahead and just write that down. So int index equals length minus 1, right? Start at the last index, and we will say precisely this. All right. We'll go backwards as required, right, until we have a failure. And then exact same break condition. If I've fallen off the front of the list, then that's a failure. However, if I've succeeded, I need to actually match forward, which means I need to kind of pick up at this point in the loop and just keep going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and extract it into a method called match forward. Okay. Now, index, instead of being a reference here, is just going to be an index defaulting to 0. So now bool match really just returns match forward, right? Which by default starts at 0. Okay, so this is match forward. Let me cut out this logic and move it below these members. And match forward then is going to get invoked from here, but I'm picking up right where at the following index, right? So let's cut that out and we'll say return match forward this context plus plus index, right? And whoops, lost a comma somehow. And that ought to just do it. So when I run through here, I will get ABC, and then, in fact, we'll step through this one again. That's sort of illustrative, I think. In fact, I'll just put the step down here, and let's just walk through it and see what happens. Okay, so I matched, which we've already done. God, I'm pointing at the screen again, sorry. So this is matched all the way over here, which means I can write those out, and I see, yep, I've successfully matched that. So let's step into the token MatchNext. Here we are in MatchList, starting at the very last index. If I step into this, we will see this is MatchNext for the char C, so this is the last guy. Obviously nothing else for me to do, so I backtrack once and say, nope, sorry. So that fails, so we move our index back. I will just step over this. That fails, I move our index back. This is item 0, which is the A. That fails. I move our index back. Notice that as each one of those guys fails, right, it's the responsibility of the match char to reset its state upon failure back to the state when it started. So you'll notice here the index offset has been correctly set back to 0. And in this loop, right here, my index variable is now past the beginning of the, well, it's at -1, right, which is before the first index. So that breaks the loop. I have, in fact, failed here. So that's that. I fail. I write that I fail, and I display the context, restored back to its appropriate state. And that's that. Okay. So that's not the greatest test in the world, because all it showed is that we did, in fact, match next, and it correctly fails. It would be really nice to get something in place where we could test, and have a token that's actually going to match a different option. So what we're going to need is a couple more different kinds of tokens that actually can possibly match next. And then we'll kind of loop back around to this and see that that works. So I will end this video here, and in the next one we will do alternation. All right, bye.